Hi, everyone. Shauna Robinson from Wellness A to Z, and my next guest, I cannot wait. We usually spend hours and hours talking, and it took us 25 minutes just to start recording because we were catching up. This is what happens when we get on the phone. It's hours long. I am so pleased to introduce my next guest, Roxanne Saffaie. She is someone I call the Mindset Maven. She is a podcast host, BlackBelt Beauty Radio. I have been a guest, and it was such an honor because there are amazing people. I call it the Narnia of podcasts because you just kind of go through these twists and wellness turns, and it's absolutely amazing. She's also a celebrity makeup artist, and she is an empowerment coach. And so she's somebody that I always look to for mindset because she is constantly like, I love it. Like, it's time to rise. When I think of that, I think of like, if I'm kind of going through that shitty, like I'm going down a black hole, I'm like, what would Roxy do? And so anyway, without further ado, I mean, I can't wait for this conversation. My dear friend, Roxanne Saffaie.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. That's an amazing intro. And I am so grateful to be here with you. You know, it was so fun to have you on the podcast as a guest. And like you said, every conversation we have can go on and on and on. And honestly, I feel like it's podcast worthy. So it's an absolute pleasure and honor to be here with you in your space now too.
Yay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this mindset, I mean, again, I call you the Mindset Maven, but you are an empowerment coach and you have this amazing podcast and this is something that you really evangelize. And if you follow Roxanne on Instagram, this is her jam. Like this is, the theme through and through. And so when and how did you realize that this was like a very important, like essential, like it's part of your being?
Yeah. Well, okay. So it's so hard to answer this in a small way, but because essentially my entire life has been this combination of, there was like early childhood challenges. So things that I didn't necessarily, ask for or brought onto myself. But I maneuvered through like a badass, right? Just innately.
Yeah.
And then, the rest of the challenge would be, and still are, me moving towards challenge, because I always say, like, seek the fight. You got to move towards the challenges that stand guard at your growth. Right. And, to be able, so I've witnessed myself throughout my life. I'm 41, I'll be 42 in next month. Crazy. And, just kind of paying attention to how I've been able to really navigate myself and hold myself in a very empowered state throughout the duration of challenge in my life. Right. And beyond that, then it goes into like when I started BlackBelt Beauty, it literally started the brand before the podcast because, I started really kind of adding up all the times I received statements like, wait, hold on, let me write down what you're saying. I want to remember this, or I wish you can say it for me. Or when you said that thing that time, and this could be anything related to mindset or lifestyle, nutrition, or movement. And it got to this point. Number one, I love that so much. Like I love showing up for people and supporting however I can. Right. And number two, I'm like, man, okay, so you've got impact. Like you just do, like, because when it's natural to you, you don't really think about, you're not looking at it that way, right? If I went to school for it, it would be different because I'm like, I'm going to school for this. But it just got to this point where I'm like, Rox, like you love this. Look at the feedback you've been getting. So let's do something with this, right? And, that's where the brand BlackBelt Beauty started. And, after I would say like a year into it, I started getting really deep into podcasts. Like I love podcasts because growth mindset, I always want to be learning. And so traffic became classes in session, cleaning the house, classes in session, showering, classes in session. And I'm just absorbing all this really powerful information from all these different podcasts. So I fell in love with the space. And then, Joe Rogan is kind of like my, I feel like he's like my soul brother or something, and it's, really like his podcast, I identified myself with the most because, Joe's just Joe, no matter who's in front of him. And he has such a wide range of guests and they're all awesome. And all the conversations are entertaining and elevating. You can learn a lot from listening to those conversations. So, that I sat on the idea for 2 years until I got very clear and about how I wanted to do it. Why am I doing this? Because it's like anything, man, you got to commit. And I'm not one to just start something and then finish. Right. So, once I knew how I wanted to do it, why I wanted to do it, I launched the podcast, and it's just been a labor of love, like an absolute pleasure, where now, I have the space where I can bring on amazing guests like yourself, experts, high level experts, and, even have the space where I can directly in my solo episodes communicate to my audience and support. So I know that was a lot more than the question
No.
around just mindset, but I think, to kind of summarize, I've lived a lot of challenge. I still live a lot of challenge. I go for challenge. And there's something about how I've reframed what challenge means to me in my life. Like when I hear challenge, and by no means am I trying to say like, oh, I always want a hard life. No, it's just that challenge allows me to earn my badassery. That
Mm.
shit's not handed to you. And I like earning. I like proving to myself, like to whoever else, whatever, to me, right? And so, now challenge is like, ooh, it's an opportunity. Right now, in this crazy ass adverse time that we're all in, all of a sudden, I'm because of how my brain has just flipped challenge and how I'm always kind of armed for battle, if you will. I'm like, all right, girl, it's time. Let's do this shit. It's like,
That's your tagline. It's time to rise, which I love.
yeah,
It's true. And I heard something the other day and it made me think of you. I always say that fear is the acronym. It's false evidence appearing real. And I heard the acronym face everything and rise. And I was like, oh, that's such a Roxy statement. It
oh,
really made me think of you. I was like, that's totally her.
it's a good one.
It is a good one. I mean, it's a little bit more positive than like, false evidence appearing real is a little bit more, I think, just not negative, but it just,
Well, and also, that's not true. What if it's not false? What if it's really fucking scary?
yeah.
You know what? It's really scary right now, actually, to be facing this uncertainty and I mean, we've always been uncertain, but this is just a really interesting time where uncertainty now is like on stage, but really we're always uncertain because we don't know what comes next. But, or a more, real life example for me, I was scared to launch my podcast. It's this brand new venture and like, oh my God, where am I going? So that was like a real fear, but I faced it and then I rose from it. Right. Yeah.
I love, you always say, seek the fight.
Yeah.
When did that sort of, come to
Come
you?
together.
Because I love it. I think it's so true. And it is like, just, fall into, whatever scares you, like, lean into it. I never know what I'm doing. And I just throw it, it's like throwing spaghetti against the wall, see what sticks. And then, it's not reacting, it's responding, right? Like, how do you respond to that? But you always have to be doing something because.
Absolutely. Yeah, you are a great example of that in your life, like just how you're maneuvering. Truly, it's inspiring because it's not easy. And I think that's the point is, so where it came from, it was in a conversation with my incredible business coach, Amina Altai, and we were wrapping out because I've got books, I've got things like brewing, right, under the brand. And, we're talking about this other kind of coined phrase, queen up, right? And we're talking about the queen and what the queen means to me. The queen for me is she's a warrior, right? It's not this like entitled, I'm a queen. It's like bitches go into battle. Like, sorry, I guess. Like, I don't know if you're okay with that.
I have a lot of New Yorkers that are watching this, and I learned you should be there when Trump gets on TV. So I mean, I can say a whole sentence in expletives. So swear away, please.
Okay, amazing. Yeah. So and I are here. We're talking about queen up and all this, and then I was telling her, I was like, I really do believe that I was really focusing on women, but just people in general are afraid to get punched in the face. I'm not talking about physical, right? I'm talking about moving towards discomfort, the kind of discomfort that's going to potentially hurt you. And I don't mean put you in life danger. I mean like make you nervous, make you uncomfortable, stretch you, grow you, these kind of things, right? Like make you have to commit to a process that you'd rather be sitting on the couch watching Netflix, but that going to the gym is the better thing to do for you kind of thing, right? So we start just kind of in this dialogue when I'm like, I just feel like people would it would serve them more if they move towards this fight. And go ahead, get punched in the face. Let me tell you, you're going to learn about yourself. And when you learn about yourself, the self-awareness and the self-connection, these are the two most empowering ingredients to becoming very empowered in life. Then you can learn, and then you can edit. Okay, where do I need to show up better? What do I need to, you have information that is very valuable that you wouldn't have if you did not move to the challenge, right? And so in that conversation with Amina, it was like poetic, the way it all came together. But Seek the Fight came out, and I love these words so much. I actually have shirts being designed right now, girl. It's really exciting. The drop is going to be, oh no, yeah, for sure. You're getting it. They'll come out soon, but it's just, I think that everybody can relate to this idea that, especially like right now, it's really powerful time. You can sit and be a victim, or you can rise the fuck up and be the warrior that I believe all of us come downloaded with, all of us. And I can, listen, I am a highly compassionate and empathetic individual, right?
Yep.
And when I say move towards a fight and get challenged, I want it to be very clear. I have faced incredible fucking challenges throughout my life. I also will say that my life is incredible. It's beautiful. It's robust. I'm thriving. Like, it's dope, right? So, because I feel like I want to make sure that it's understood, I'm not sitting in this position where, oh, everything's just so easy. Because like I said in the beginning, number one, I'm making sure it's not fucking easy. Number two, life will make that too. So it's this combination of me and life going, come on, Rox, like, where you at? I can sit here and say, I know what challenge feels like. I know what it feels like to be on your knees, not having the answers that you need, you want, not having the things yet that you're so ready for, all of that stuff, and still getting back up and going, let's go. Like, I know, so yeah, that's Seek the Fight, man.
No, and I love it. And I mean, I identify too. I don't, nothing has, come easy. And it's usually when I take that, the path less traveled, or that, when it's just like, oh, that sounds really awful or uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it's like level up or queen up or whatever, it's
yes.
yes. Like,
You just said it perfectly. That's it.
It's great. Like, I left my 9-to-5 job. I didn't know what the fuck I was going to do. I mean, I knew I had all of this, I have a lot to offer, but like, I didn't know how it was all going to come together. And it just is. It's like, all right, I'm going to move in directions. If I, move in all directions until it makes sense not to, is kind of, one of the just core principles I operate by. And if it's like, okay, I'm, getting thwarted, why am I getting thwarted? Am I out of alignment with myself? Is that like, is that why it's showing up? And I wanted to ask you about that, because you obviously know yourself very, very well.
Yes.
And seeking the fight, I think getting the courage to be able to do that, you have to be in some sort of alignment with yourself, or somehow realize like, look, I'm not thriving, or, there's some, and you have, what I love, you have a morning ritual, and you someone on your mat every day. And I think that, those two are sort of, they combine. So I'd love you to talk about who you meet on your mat every morning and how that helps you seek the fight.
Oh, thank you. It's like, I love talking about her.
Yeah.
So
I know,
so
and
cool.
it inspired me, and I use it. I'm like, when, people are asking me about things, and I won't spoil it, I'll let you talk about, who you meet on the mat every morning. I have people think about that when, they're going through something. I'm like, okay, how would you respond? Anyway, I'll let you take it away.
Well, so, okay, a couple things. So I've been writing my entire life. Truly, I have over 20 years of writing in my home, and I certainly started before that, but that's all the moving. It's like, I've got over 20 years. Cool. And when I say writing, it's not storytelling. It's more of like, if you think of like Marcus Aurelius meditations, it's daily meditation. So it's really process and perspective. I've always been very introspective. My father is like, he used to be a stand-in professor at Stanford in philosophy. Philosophy has always been something very deep in my family. And I think there's something internally that came from my father where it's like, I just love philosophizing about life and like going inward and asking questions and all that. So why this is important to share right now is because number one, it's part of my morning ritual that you just spoke of. Every morning I start with meditation, and then I roll into this very kind of freestyle journaling, right? And as a writer, when you're journaling like this, for me anyways, this is the case. You always have this kind of like a different identity. It's like one part you're down here and other parts you're watching over here, this person, right? So, a couple of, I want to say like maybe 5 years ago, this person actually became a person. First, from logical reasons, because I love the idea of visualization. So I love kind of writing oftentimes as if it's already happened. So I'm already acting as if I am this future version of myself, right? So the future self starts coming in. And that's a very powerful identity to start collaborating with, right? Because when you think about your future self, your ideal future, I mean, typically somebody kind of creating their future self is going to imagine someone that is expanded and elevated from where they currently are in their life, right? And all different types of, not just internally, but even externally in their life, like their home and their job and their relationships and their finances, all that stuff, right? So I really start becoming connected to this future self. And then all of a sudden, and it's not like I could really pin it down, but I just remember the woman in the mirror started showing up.
Mm-hmm.
And she started showing up in my meditation. So who the woman in the mirror is essentially, it's Roxanne. It's just Roxanne beyond this version of me. And she is everything that I aspire to rise into, to grow into, to expand into. And we always meet. Why she's in the woman in the mirror is because we always meet in the mirror of my master bathroom in this, future home that I have coming. And I mean, the home is dope. I got all the details. It's like this. I mean,
so specific about it. I know that you've had it.
So
You
clear.
decorated it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and pieces keep coming too. It's rad. Like her outfits changed, and when her outfits change, it means different things. It's really interesting, or it does to me, because I'm deep thinking about, like, why are you in all white now? Oh, because it's a time of surrender. It's a time to really lean into your goddess energy, right? It's like I love going there in my mind, right? But I have chills when I like prepare to say this to you. Why this woman is so important to me, Shauna, is because this woman is my North Star. She guides me every single day. She's my ride or die. She's my home girl. She's always there. She's always got my back. I am never alone. There's a lot of people right now that are quarantined, that are single and don't have a family, or like that have to be. I got a little edge in the sense where I really feel like I always have, because I do, this other being with me. And there are times when I'll go into meditation and maybe I'm like kind of over here, which can mean troubled in the mind, or I've got questions I need answered. And you know what I love about her too is she's so fucking steady. Like, she doesn't budge. Her composure, her strength, her softness, her ease, her all these skills and characteristics that I love and that I value, she's just got them on lock, right? And it doesn't matter what I'm actually going through in my right here, right now life. She doesn't change. And that makes her even more real and powerful to me. You know what I mean? Because you can imagine, like, let's just say I'm over here and I'm all anxious because, quarantine and I've got this going on. And then homegirl's all, that would be weird. It's never happened. And all the times that I've been with her, and I'm with her every day since she arrived, no, she's fucking just like, boom. And she'll ask me sometimes, like, in very sassy ways, like, is this really what you think? And she doesn't tell me what to do. That's what's also dope, is like, she'll ask me questions and she'll let me show up. And why that's so powerful, and I can even say this as a coach, is because, I don't want to tell you what to do. I want to guide you to what I already believe and know exists within you, but you got to access it. And sometimes we do need that support, and questions are a powerful way to help an individual, including self, get there. So, she just allows me to grow deeper into my self-awareness. I have this thing called the 4 S's, right? For the empowered mindset. And it has to be in the sequential order. Self-awareness, then comes self-connection, then comes self-love, then comes self-confidence. And it really needs to be like 1, 2, 3, 4. Because if you think about it, you can't, sorry, my hair, like ocean hair, even though I wasn't in the ocean, but I live close enough. So how do you have self-confidence? How do you have self-confidence if you don't even have a level of self-connection? How do you have self-connection if you're not even really aware of who you are and how you are? It doesn't work, right? So, you know, and that I can, you know, trail off, or maybe we'll get there later, but it's just to say that the woman in the mirror, she really helps me to get this repetition work in of self-awareness, self-connection, and then those things add to the repetition, you know, like the feeling of self-love. And I will tell you that when I come out of meditation every single time, and it's not like every time I go in, I have this profound situation or like words of wisdom, but every single time I feel centered to my fucking core. I feel ready, and I feel nourished and nurtured. Yeah.
I love those words. I mean, nourished and nurtured, that's how we all want to feel. And I mean, what a great way to start the day. And I, you know, once we had this conversation, you know, a few months back about your, you know, your future self. And I was like, I love that. And it has helped me think about that. I don't have outfits for her yet. She's, you know, we're getting there.
You'll get there.
I'm going to have outfits for myself right now. So everybody knows I'm like wearing my mom's shirt. I'm at my mom's. I did not pack for this. I am here longer.
You look so beautiful to me, but yeah, I feel you. That's hard because you want your expression.
But it has definitely helped. And I love what you were talking about the energy match, about like this person, you know, your future self is this sort of unwavering force in your life. And when I coach people about going into job interviews, I say, you know, you have to meditate before, or take 10 deep breaths, and write down like, who do you want to be in that interview? Because your energy is going to be matched by that person. And so like this, you know, having that core, that constant, that just unwavering support is it's so huge.
It's so powerful.
And so you talked about your 4 S's, and we'll start with the first one, self-awareness.
Yeah.
How do you help people cultivate that? Because I think a lot of people walk around very unaware.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that as a slam against people. I think that it's just unfortunately the way that our society is, where we are so, you know, disconnected from self, from just kind of the world around. And I think that this time, you know, I don't love what's going on in the world. I do love the forced downtime. I do love this sort of yin essence and nourishing that, like going inward.
Yes.
So how do you help people nurture that? I mean, as an empowerment coach, I think that that's probably like, you know, lesson one.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, 2 of the most powerful methodologies that I will always just like put at the forefront: meditation and journaling. And I know a lot of people have either a hard time with this, or maybe don't necessarily like it too much, but you know, a lot of people also don't like eating, you know, the foods that are going to make them feel better, but it's all about training yourself. A lot of people don't like putting in the hard work at the gym. It's all about training yourself. If you know that these, and I'm not the first person, obviously, how many people that we both admire in the world, you know, do things like this. But in my journey, I will tell you, I know this to be true to the core, that when you can sit down with yourself, I would say even journaling before meditation, because meditation can be very intimidating to people, right? Journaling is even intimidating to people, believe it or not, right? It's interesting, but I actually do get it, because it's like, oh my God, where do I start? And do I need to be profound right now and prolific, or not prolific, but like just articulate? And it's like, no, all you got to do is just roll some ink, man. Just sit down with yourself and start becoming acquainted with yourself. So it's really self-awareness. Self-awareness is you being willing, first of all, to sit with yourself. That's where most people want to fucking run. That's where most people want to turn on the TV or do something to fill that space. And I'm saying, no, the doing needs to be the being with you, right? So journaling needs to be, you know, a start, like you need to start that practice. And then definitely meditation. It's like they just go so well together. They go together like, you know, nutrition and movement. They really do. They complement each other. And then I would say that even those two pieces are, they're definitely in the actual formula. If you're eating foods that are polluted, like tons of chemicals and not great things, it's going to be harder to, this is from a science perspective. This is not spiritual. This is not anything like that. This is straight up science. Like, your body is not going to be functioning as optimally as it could be. And in that non-optimal state, you're actually turning off your ability to be more intuitive, to be more like you are, because your gut, has a big connection to your brain. So if you think about like, oh, I want to sit and be with myself and I want to let my mind wander, but this isn't feeling good. Well, this
You're
isn't
getting
going to be
the
feeling good.
Twinkies. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's actually pretty simple stuff. I'm not asking you to go run a marathon and all of a sudden like eat this one food only. It's like, no, it's just, we're going to start taking some time to create a practice around journaling. We're going to start implementing some meditation, and there are many different ways to go about that. There's no right or wrong way. And then we're going to start paying attention to what's your diet doing, what's your movement doing. But even in journaling, there's specific exercises that I have that are very helpful to, kind of like reshape your identity, create the future self. I call it like positive architecting, mental landscaping. So I have a bunch of little tricks under these things, but I just want to give you
Yeah,
kind of the,
and I think that that's helpful for people getting started, is having those journal prompts. I mean, I
yes,
can sit down and it's like, okay, like what do I like? I know that I want to be working out something, and I know people have a hard time sitting still. I see it in yoga. I mean, I'm a huge, I don't love the man, I love the yoga Bikram practitioner, and like that is all about stillness and like how you, respond to really sticky, uncomfortable situations. I mean, you're
totally.
yourself in a really fucking hot ass room, and it's like, can you not fidget? Can you not pick your shorts out of your ass? Can you like not fidgeting when your heart is beating out of your chest? And people have that experience just every day in life. And so it's like,
Yeah.
turn off the TV and just sit in the quiet for 2 minutes. And like people are kind of climbing the walls. But like when you get present and when you get more comfortable with it, it's like, oh my God, it's so welcome. It's not this like constant like noise and chatter, and your brain actually does start to slow down. And that's, I mean, it's super beneficial for growth and just self-awareness as we're talking about.
Absolutely. And when you think about like the thing that you're trying to avoid, why are you trying to avoid it?
Well, that's it
There's
too.
usually, there's work that needs to be done there.
Yeah.
If you're only doing this one kind of training or working out, whatever it's training for me. Why are you avoiding that other thing? Like there could be, it's just worth investigating. I love investigating. That's a
Yeah.
very important word to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if one is having a hard time sitting with themselves, well, why is that? Are there things that you got to work through? Are there things that, I say this often on the podcast, you are in you until you are done.
Mm-hmm.
You may as well create an epic relationship with yourself. And what I love so much about this relationship with self, the woman in the mirror, no one can take that person away from you. That variable does not change. It only gets stronger the more you invest in it. Every other variable, your family, your partner, your job, all of these are variables that can change, right? Like just natural circumstances of life, whatever. And if we become reliant, if our confidence, our validation, if all of this becomes reliant on the external, that's a problem. That's a vulnerability that I don't want to have personally. I mean, I will always have a vulnerability because I'm
It's not in the Brene Brown kind of way. It's not the good
no,
vulnerable.
I wasn't even saying that. Yeah, I'm saying I always have
Yeah.
vulnerability because I have a family that
Yeah.
I'm fucking obsessed with. And so, nature will do its thing at one point. But my point is that, I want to be so deeply connected with myself. I want my clients to be so deeply connected with themselves. And I want them to understand that this being them, the most powerful tool that they can have and access in their life, period.
Yeah. I
Access.
couldn't agree more. And I think now is kind of a time to be exploring that. So how are you staying? I mean, like, how is this impacting your life, or, how is it
Yeah.
shaping your life? I mean, impacting sounds a little negative, but like, how are you you know.
No, impacting is a positive word actually, right? I mean, you're creating a lot of great impact with,
Yeah,
these
true.
beautiful, yeah.
Yeah.
No, so I mean, listen, my life actually hasn't changed too much. So there is one part of my career life that is on hold right now, and that's the makeup aspect, because obviously there's no productions. But to be honest, like my career life is almost, more, full on with the podcast and my brand and all the things that are coming with that. So, and all of that stuff is work that, doesn't require me to have to be in any one place that, it's not like a 9 to 5 job, right? My training, the gym's not open. I'm really into innovation. Fortunately one of my, brothers have gyms, but for me, I'm like, yeah, well, let's start sprinting the hill that you live on. Let's, buy a kettlebell and start doing some shit in the living room or whatever. And so why I'm saying this is because there hasn't been too much of a like,
Mhm.
oh my God, all of a sudden my world is being rocked upside down. But what I will say that I think could be very powerful and useful to your audience is this. One of the reasons why it's not even because of all that stuff that I just mentioned that I feel I have an edge right now. Um, it's more that before the virus, I'm always fucking training for battle. I say it all the time in my training, like my videos and things I share. I'm like, yeah, cool. It's about the pull up. It's not about the pull up. Yes, I want the shoulders. I want the ass. I want the abs, all the things, all the health, the cellular health. I want the mindset transfer skill. That is literally the most important thing to me. When I pick up heavy weights, I am saying to myself, yes, you can do it, girl. Heavy shit comes down in life. Yes, you can do it, girl. And every single modality that I train with will give me something that is applicable for this obstacle course of life. So if my goal right now is to say, okay, this virus, we're going to move past this point, right? We're going to move past the quarantine, and it's not going to be the last virus. At what point do you decide that you want to arm yourself so that you are always prepared, not in a fear-based negative way, but you're prepared here. You're strong, you're composed, you're sound. When shit's like, oh, and everyone's, yesterday I saw a friend, like neighbor, and I was like, how are you? And he's like, oh, I guess like everybody else. I'm like, not me, actually. No
No,
judgment, but like, not, I don't feel that way because I'm always like wanting to sharpen my sword. I always want to make sure that I'm tinkering at the armor that I'm wearing so that when it's time to use this armor, like right now, armor up here, armor here, armor here, I'm like, yo, let's go. We got it, So how I'm doing it, is just kind of like how I've been doing it. There's some fun things that have been taking place. I started training all day. And
mhm.
what that means is it's dosing my training. So it's like microdosing my training, which is rad. So rather than like an hour or 90 minutes of a straight, workout, which I definitely have some of that going on too. But throughout the week now I sprinkle in, maybe I'm starting with 20 minutes in the morning, and then I do like a 30-minute afternoon, and then maybe another 20-minute of something, and everything is different. It could be just a walk in the morning. It could be like weights in the afternoon, and then yoga in the evening. That is something that I'm going to keep going after this is all done because I just love how it feels. And yeah, I don't know. So that's, I think, something that could be like almost like a suggestion to some of the people who are watching us right now, of just a different way to not only keep yourself strong and healthy, but just being innovative in a time where it's very useful to be creative, to be agile. And then another piece I'll just add to that is I know that there's a lot of emotional distress. um, this is a proven thing that when you change your physiological state, it impacts your emotional state. So if you think about dosing your movement in throughout the day, you're constantly impacting your emotional state. So rather than going to the fridge again, where you've been and you don't need to go there, why don't you take a lap around your block? Why don't you get down and do some deadlifts or squats or plies or whatever, sit-ups, whatever, but like just start to do some movement. I'm telling you, it's going to impact here and it's going to help during this time.
It's, I mean, it's a lifestyle. And you have to want to change. And I think that that's a huge thing for
Yeah.
people too.
Number one.
Yeah, you have to want to change. And yeah, I mean, I've been doing the microdosing thing. I saw you, like, you're like, I squat while I'm waiting for something in the kitchen. I'm like, oh, that's such a good idea. So I was like, my mom has resistance bands. I'm like, all right, let me do like, you know, bicep curls while I'm doing that. Or I did jumping jacks the other day. I went real
I
retro.
love it.
Yeah. And I
No,
was
I love jumping jacks.
I
Oh,
went,
girl, they're so good. No,
yeah.
yeah, it was sitting at the computer, and
Mhm.
I have music because I'm working.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I have music in the background. You know, I got my 80s going on.
Yeah.
Oh, so every 10, 15 minutes, get up and just squat through the whole song, or put a resistance band on. And now, you know, get some glute work in just for the whole song. I mean, the point here is have an open mind to be like, cool, how do I maneuver through this? How do I stay kind of ahead of it, if you will, so it's not taking me down? How do I get more creative? And I say that again, I'm going to say I understand it's not going to be easy.
No.
And what I'm also saying is, I don't care. That's your cue to go towards the fucking thing, because you got it. You just said it. Decide. One of the things that's so important to me, Shauna, is not just facing challenge, like, oh, good, cool, I'm good, I'm going to go towards a challenge and I can. It's, how did you get through the challenge? Who
Mhm.
were you? Did you do it with strength? Were you frantic mass? Were you like, oh my God, you know, or just like a, or were you always just, for me, when I think of this queen, right, and the woman in the mirror, and all, she's just, she doesn't fight with emotion. She fights with intelligence. She knows how to pause. She knows how to punch. She knows how to do all the, and I'm not just talking about like in real,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? So, you know, thinking about, this is a moment in history that we are all going to look back on. You're going to tell your kids, your grandkids, whatever, you know, and how do you, when you look back, how did you go through this? Who were you in this moment? And it's, so going back to what I was just saying, I know a lot of this stuff is hard. Oh, you know, be creative. Oh, be agile. Oh, meanwhile, like finances are taking a hit and all, I get it, but you're going to get through, unless you believe that you're not. And that's a whole nother fucking conversation. But if you know that you're going to get through, then comes the point where you go, all right, I got to pick a side. Who am I going to be in this battle? Am I going to be the warrior? Am I going to be the champion? Or am I going to be the fucking victim? And once you make that decision, you commit. And then when you commit, it's like anything great that you want to do. You decide, you commit, you focus, you invest, you keep going.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that we talk about this, because when I coach clients that are going to, you know, job interviews and how to tell their story, I always say, your transitions through things, how you respond to things, is literally probably more important than actually the impact that you had at a company, because it's going to show your, you know, your humility, your ability to be coached, your ability to be a human being, and your ability to look at yourself and actually that you know yourself. So I love that you just said
I
that, and
love
my
that.
sentiments, because it's very true. And people
Yeah.
want to hear those stories, and that it, because we all relate to them, right? Like, we've
Oh,
all
it's so
been through
good.
shit. And so, you know,
I love that.
just we are going to get through this. You have to choose to get through this. I mean, yeah, we're all kind of struggling. It's like, oh shit, like, you know, we've got to make some changes. We've got to make some choices.
Yeah.
Right? They're not going to be the easy choice. It's not like, oh my God, it's all unicorns and fairies and rainbows. I mean, I wish it was, but it's not.
No.
And you know what you were talking about, just like going through, I choose to live my life from a place of calm and ease. I don't want
Mm-hmm.
to be frantic. I hate that feeling. I hate feeling anxious. I hate feeling, so it's like, all right,
Yeah.
how do I want to be in this situation? I want to be calm and I want to be ease. That's how I want to lead my life. And so
Yeah.
I think I mean, it's a mindset thing. But anyway, I mean, we could talk about
Yeah.
it literally for about 47 hours, but which we
No,
have.
I love it. It's a beautiful point that you said about the transition. I love that. There's a Pharrell track song that I love, and it's old now, but there's one part of the song that I love so much, and he says the transition is the track. And
It's
it's like, it's so fucking dope. It's like, you know, the kind of line between the line, you know, you either get it or you don't. I'm like, dude, exactly. The
mhm,
transition is the track. That's where everything is happening. I mean, you know, it's kind of like saying the process is, you know, the journey is the reward. The process is the reward, because this is the part where we get to really I say this so often, you know, and I've been sharing it a lot on my Instagram, you know, when I'm training, but you know, I'm in it. I'm doing these hill sprints. I'm fired up, and I'm like, I'm tired. I have no spit left. I'm like, okay, and this is my favorite part, because this is when I get to go, who the fuck are you? Who
Mm-hmm.
are you when challenge comes? Who are you?
Mm-hmm.
Is this where you roll out like peace? Or is this when you queen up, right? And you go, I'm going to give it my best effort. I'm going to finish. I'm going to go towards this challenge. It doesn't, if I can't finish it, who cares? But I got to know that I'm willing to try. You got to be willing to try. And when it's all said and done, right? And I look back, and this is a huge piece, you know, why I can be, you know, move through my life with this empowered, confident, you know, all the things we're talking about. Oh, I witness how I'm doing my life. I'm witnessing how I show up, and I do the work every single day with all of my heart. I'm trying, you know, and when you really can witness that in a very loving and compassionate and supportive way, you know, win or lose, if you're hitting the mark or not, that doesn't matter. It's just like, man, it's kind of like you're watching the movie and you're watching Rocky, my life hero. Like, I love Rocky, but it wasn't even about Rocky winning as much as like, you can't even help but just love this man because of his heart. And he just keeps getting back up and getting back up. And you know, it's like, oh man, I love that.
Yeah.
So yeah. And when you witness yourself just getting back up and going for it, I mean, how do you not love yourself? How do
It,
you,
yeah, it's
yeah,
impossible. And it's like done is better than perfect. Just go and just try and just do it. You know, if you say that you want something, then you actually have to do it. You can't just say, I want it and then quit.
exactly.
It's like, then you're not actually
Yes.
you're not actually doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true. What words of wisdom, pieces of advice, guidance would you impart to the audience that's watching this? Like how, you know, getting through this, if people are struggling, any mindset tips, again, Mindset Maven.
I mean, yeah, I would just invite people to, you know, going back to what we were saying about viewing this as an opportunity to really be more self-aware, to be more self-connected, like to have these opportunities where you can actually do these types of exercises that allow you to step into more self-awareness. That's where you're going to learn, you know, like, what do I want to edit, what do I want to, you know, rise to, all of this stuff, right? I think just taking more time to appreciate, as hard as it may be, that there's opportunity within this challenge, and then trying to capitalize off that, you know, by sitting with yourself, getting more acquainted with yourself. And then I would say that, you know, like, doing this work of where I want you to look forward past this moment, and then I want you to turn back. So reverse engineer the situation. Who were you day by day in this process? How did you show up, not just for yourself, for your loved ones, for your community, you know, for your work? Like, who are you? Start creating this person, right? And that could probably help with the future self, because it's essentially your future self, right? You can carry on with it afterwards, right? And I would just say that, you know, start to invest in the actions, because every day you're going to have an opportunity to live from this person, right? So start investing in the actions that allow you to become this person, so that when you actually do look back at this moment, you know, no matter how hard it was, you feel proud. I really just want, you know, your audience, our audience here, to become their own best friend, to become their own, I always say, like, your ride or die. I want you to, because my form of self-love is, it's not self-care, that's a separate thing. I want you to feel worthy of being in this fight right now, right? Like, when you take two UFC fighters and you're putting them in the octagon, the one that doesn't feel like they're even worthy to be stepping in there, you already lost, man, because it's a game of inches, and it's a mindset game above all else, right? So I really think that the most important piece is, if you could just flip the script and see that there's opportunity in this challenge for you to grow, and for then you to grow your life in desirable ways. Start thinking about, when you look back, who were you through this process, and then start living as that person doing this type of work, I just feel like you're going to be winning through this challenge.
Yeah. I mean, and it's so funny. It's, mindset, and it applies to everything. It's what I talk to my people about going into an interview. If you show up and you're kind of lackluster and you don't believe in yourself, you don't believe your worth, they smell it.
100%. And I like a little pithy kind of takeaway is like, this came to me in woman in the mirror one day. She was like, Rox, I was troubled. She's like, listen, wherever you're looking, that's where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
Understand that the dial is up to you. Like you have this inner dial, and wherever you're looking, we all know the statements like energy, grows life, right? Like so just decide and, decide like, which way do I want to channel myself right now? Who do you want to be? Do you want to be the warrior? Do you want to be the champion? And listen, this is probably also important to say, you're going to be feeling a lot of different emotions right now.
Yeah.
So you could wake up and feel like, yeah, I'm the fucking champion. And then by the afternoon, you're like, oh my God, I feel like a victim.
Mm-hmm.
Don't beat yourself up over it. Understand
Sure.
that this is life, man. Let's start surfing these waves. I surf, so it's like, let's start. So all you do is you start pulling yourself gently back in to this warrior champion mindset, right? And there's ways to do it, but that's probably another microdose conversation. But
Yeah. There's a lot coming, I'm sure.
There's a lot, but so I think that it's just understand, kind of know ahead of time that this is going to be, your emotions are going to go like this, right? And your work is to become as stable and centered within yourself that you can ride this stuff out, not beat yourself up over it, not be, feel guilty and shame and all those things, and keep looking in the direction you want to go. I think it's so important.
I love that. I think it is so important in every aspect of life. And, I have, wellness and job and career and all that stuff. And that's what I am focusing on, but it's important in every aspect. I mean, again, I don't have clothes and I'm like, all right, whatever. It's cool. I mean, I have clothes. I'm not naked. You're welcome.
Can you imagine Shauna underneath? Just like,
hi. It's
that's so amazing.
But I wasn't planning on being here, and I'm just choosing. All right.
No, I know. And let me just take a minute to honor you, because I think that that's so powerful, girl. Like, you literally had this overnight trip. You were going up north to Antarctica and, just had to revert. And you've just been super agile with the situation, making the best of it. It's like, it's not about having the best. It's what you do with your things. This is all information.
Mm-hmm.
What you choose to do with it is up to you, right?
Absolutely.
And so I think for you, you're doing an excellent job at just going, this is what I got, this is how I'm going to roll with it, and we'll figure something else out tomorrow. We'll see what tomorrow brings. So good work, girl.
Thank you. I mean, as we know, it's changing minute by minute and hour by hour, which it can go on for hours and hours.
I know. I gotta.
we're gonna cut this one off because I know we have so many more to do. But where can people find you?
Instagram is an epic place. So Roxy Look is, my primary account. There's BlackBelt Beauty as well. BlackBeltBeauty.com. I love, my love notes. You get them, right?
I do.
So every Monday, I love sending people there. I'm also starting something new I'll tell you about in a second, but my subscribers will get an email, a little bite-sized empowering mindset email every Monday in their inbox. And starting May 4th, I'm going to be doing a bi-monthly 30-minute free live Queen Up talk on Zoom. So if you go to my website, blackbeltbeauty.com, and you subscribe, you get the link, and you can, essentially, it's just like hanging out with me, where we can wrap out in a very safe, this is for women, a safe and empowering environment where we can just, talk life stuff and maybe troubleshoot, inspire, share some tips. So
Love that.
blackbeltbeauty.com.
And I'll include all of this in the comments. If you guys have any comments, questions, concerns, birthdays, or talk about my outfits, then please leave them.
You're the best.
In the you got to humor is really one of the best ways to get through this. I swear to God. I mean,
it's the memes are everything.
Oh my God. Like, yeah, seriously, it's been
so good.
Epic. But thank you guys so much for watching, Roxy. I mean, again, if you guys can't see why I call her the Mindset Maven, then I did not do my job properly, and I don't know what to tell you, but she is so amazing. Follow her on Instagram, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much.